lush hills of Ratnapura, Sri Lanka, tea plantations weave through patches of fragmented lowland tropical forest. Nearby, the Singharaja Forest Reserve Complex, one of the island's last pristine rainforests and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, stands as a reminder of what remains of Sri Lanka's primary tropical forests. But even this stronghold does not escape the effects of fragmentation. Amidst this landscape of loss and resilience, a unique reforestation effort is taking root. Inspired by the vision of the late Meryl J. Fernando, founder of Dilmah Tea and a passionate advocate for environmental stewardship, this initiative seeks to restore the land now shaped by tea. Led by a dedicated team of Sri Lankan ecologists and forestry experts, and supported by Dilmah Tea, Franklinia Foundation and Rajarata University of Sri Lanka, the project aims to reconnect two isolated forest reserves, Viharakanda and Valankanda. Their mission? To establish a 3-kilometer-long biodiversity corridor that will give rare and endangered plant and animal species a chance to thrive once more. Valankanda Forest Reserve, one of the two forest patches connected by the Endane Biodiversity Corridor, borders one of Sri Lanka's largest and vital rainforests, the Singharaja Rainforest Complex, a biodiversity hotspot. Professor Nimal Gunathilaka, the co-lead scientist on the Endane project, has devoted his life to studying the biodiversity and historical changes of these lowland tropical forests in southwestern Sri Lanka.
So the British started clearing the highland forest and they introduced agricultural plantations, starting with coffee in the early part of 19th century. And this continued in the highlands to start with, and gradually they shifted or moved down to lowlands with introduction of tea, rubber and coconut as time went by. So in the early 20th century, much of these lowland areas, especially the rainforests, have been cleared for cultivation of tea and rubber. According to the British sources available, in the latter part of the 19th century, there was about 70% of the forest cover in the island. However, by about 1920s, it was reduced to about 50%. Half of that's gone, mostly for plantation agriculture.
Professor Gunathilaka's research has played a valuable role in shaping the reforestation approach of the Endane Biodiversity Corridor. He is joined by Professor Nalaka Gikianage, who serves as the project's lead scientist.
I arrived at this enormous tea garden of Endane Tea Estate, and the site looked very challenging and lots of possibilities and opportunities. At the same time, it was just next to Singharaja World Heritage Site, and on the other hand, in the front side, we had Viharakanda proposed forest reserve. In between, we have Endane Tea Garden, as well as a community where they have been cultivating their home gardens for hundreds of years.
Endane Tea Estate residents and local villagers in Delwala, Ratnapura, have long shared a close connection with forests. Getting them involved in the project has been key to ensuring its sustainability over the long term.
Endane ජෛව මම්පෙත ව්‍යාපෘතියේ ශාක සහ සත්ත්ව කොටස් දෙකට අමතරව ඉහළ කොටස සිංහල ජනතාවගේ කොටසක් සහ පහළ කොටස ඇන්දාන වතුයායට අයිති කොටසක් වෙන නිසා අපිට මෙම කොටස් දෙකට ඍජුව සම්බන්ධ වීමට පාරිසරික දැනුවත් වීම පිළිබඳව අපිට සමාජ ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන් කමක් වගේම ඒ අයට ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිලාභයක් සහ සමාජ ප්‍රතිලාභයක් ලබා දෙන්න මේ ව්‍යාපෘතියෙන් අපිට පුළුවන් කමක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
A third of the Endane Biodiversity Corridor comprises of the village home gardens. In contrast to the tea monoculture of the estate, these gardens possess a high plant diversity, and the Endane Biodiversity Corridor project team are helping the community improve them so that their structure and functions are similar to the forest and can merge into the biodiversity corridor.
In this landscape, we value the ecosystem service values using a toolbox. We considered how much soil conservation measures they apply and how many types of species of trees do they cultivate in their home gardens, how many of them are of utility species and how many of them are of the common value or rainforest species. At the same time, we considered the vertical stratification or the layering of the home garden because we wanted to mimic these home gardens to the rainforest ecosystem, at least from the functions and the ecosystem services they provide. Having considering these values, we came up with a value for each and every home garden, and based on that, we awarded some of the home gardens with cash awards for preserving and maintaining their home gardens as agriforest.
Livelihood opportunities like sustainable beekeeping empower communities to take greater ownership in protecting and sustaining the forest.
With the help of some undergraduate students, we realized that we can do beekeeping successfully here. We conducted several workshops, training, farmer days and different activities related to beekeeping. And then we introduced some bee colonies to this biodiversity corridor. And they are having their own colonies in their farms now. And there are some special features of the beekeeping project in Endane Biodiversity Corridor. We didn't bring colonies from the outside. We used the bee strain found in this area. And also this bee colony is actually very helpful to maintain the biodiversity and ecosystem stability in this biodiversity corridor.
The nursery is among the few in the country cultivating such a wide range of threatened plant species for restoration.
වැසි වනාන්තරයක් කියන්නේ නිකම්ම එක්කිරණේකාට තනියෙන් ජීවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන් තැනක් නෙමෙයි. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඒ වනාන්තරය ඇතුළේ තියෙන ගස්කොළන් පැලවෙන්න පොළවේ තියෙන ක්ෂුද්‍ර ජීවීන්ගේ උදව්ව අවශ්‍යයි. එතකොට එහෙම උදව්වකින් පැලවෙච්ච කට්ටිය අපි අරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා මෙතන තවම් කරනවා. මේ තවානේදී අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ පිටින් ගෙන පස් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. මේ ප්‍රදේශයේම තියෙන පස් තමයි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන් මේ ක්ෂුද්‍ර ජීවීන් මේවට අවශ්‍ය හින්දා. ඉතින් එහෙම ගෙනල්ලා මේ තවාන මේ විදිහට නඩත්තු කරලා මේක හිටවන්න පුළුවන් මට්ටමේ උසකට එනකන් අපි මෙතන බලා කියා ගන්නවා. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි අපි මේවා හිටවන්න යොමු කරන්නේ.
Dr. Himesh Jayasinghe is a dedicated plant biodiversity researcher who scours forests of Sri Lanka researching rare, threatened and endangered species of plants and trees of Sri Lanka. He joined the Endane team as a tree identification expert. On their field surveys that extended beyond the project site, they discovered several species of rare plants, some of them that were thought to be previously extinct.
මගේ කණ්ඩායමේ මූලික අරමුණ උනේ මේ වැඩසටහන ව්‍යාපෘතිය ඇතුළේ වළංකන්ද රක්ෂිතයේ තියෙන ගස්කොළන් වර්ග මොනවද කියලා හඳුනා ගන්න එක. මේ ව්‍යාපෘතියේ නැවත වනවගාව ස්ථාපනය කරද්දී මොකද ස්වභාවිකව තියෙන ගස්කොළන් පිහිටීම ගැන අදහසක් ඇතුව තමයි අපි මේ නැවත වනවගාව කරන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා ඒකට අවශ්‍ය කරන දත ලබා ගන්න අපි කැලේ ඇතුළේ නැවතිලා මාස 3ක් විතර වගේ කාලයක් උඩ අරන් ගහගෙන ඉඳලා මේ පරිශ්‍රණ කටයුතු සිද්ධ කළා. ඒකෙදී අපිට හම්බුණා ගස්කොළන් වර්ග 550කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක්. බොහොම වැඩි ඉලක්කමක් ඒක. සහ ඒකේ විශේෂත්වය තමයි ඒකෙන් 130කට වඩා වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක්. ඒ කියන්නේ අතරම ගස්කොළන් වර්ග 180ක් විතරම තර්ජිත ගස්කොළන් වර්ග. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දේවල් අපිට සංරක්ෂණය කරන්න හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා ඒ දේවල් ගැන අධ්‍යයනය කිරීම.
These techniques have enabled the project to sustain over 80% survival rate.
Another important finding of our research in Singharaj was that the tree species in particular are not distributed in a random way, but they show affinities to specific habitats. There are species which are restricted to ridge tops. and upper hill slopes and lower slopes and valleys. So this is quite important in restoration purposes because you cannot plant the species that show affinities to valley bottoms on ridge tops. Similarly, ridge top species shouldn't be planted in the valley bottoms. We have to identify the habitat, the species that are most suitable for their habitats if you are restoring these endemic tree species which are threatened. So that's a very important factor which we have now fine-tuned and we are using in the restoration model in Walankanda area. And I must say that it's showing promising results after 4 years of planting. Initial growth statistics are quite impressive.
භූමිය සැකසීම සහ පැලසිටවීම තමයි අපගේ ප්‍රධානම ඊළඟ අභියෝගය වුණේ. එහිදී අපිට පුළුවන්කමක් ලැබිලා තිනවා දීර්ඝකාලීන අධ්‍යයනයකට සුදුසු පරිසර තත්ත්වයන් තෝරගෙන ඒවට අදාළ ශාක විශේෂ සහ ඒවට අදාළ භූමිය සැකසීමේ ක්‍රම කිහිපයක් එක්ක මෙම අධ්‍යයනය දිගටම කරගෙන යන්න. මම හිතනවා අපිට පුළුවන්කමක් ලැබිලා තිනවා මේ දීර්ඝ අධ්‍යයනය තුලින් අපිට පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා සාර්ථක පාරිසරික ප්‍රතිස්ථාපන කටයුත්තකට අවශ්‍ය දත්ත සමාජගත කරන්න.
The corridor was originally the vision of Dilmah tea founder and philanthropist Meryl J. Fernando, who dreamed of restoring the land that had become degraded due to centuries of plantation agriculture.
On 1st January 2018, my father, Dilmah founder Meryl J. Fernando, made a very symbolic gesture. He began the process of uprooting tea plants on our Endane tea garden to create a biodiversity corridor to connect to the fragmented parts of the Singharaja forest ecosystem. The objective was to enrich biodiversity, species biodiversity. But what it did was it enriched our business. We acknowledge the fact that taste in tea is crafted not by the tea maker, it's crafted by the winds, by the sunshine, by rainfall, and all of this beauty of nature.
Beyond simply providing monetary support to the project, we engaged every step of the project. We collaborated with experts in the field, conducted several biodiversity assessments, initiated restoration project, conducted several education and awareness sessions through community, collaborated with universities and conducted several research and development programs, and also we implemented several community uplifting programs like beekeeping. From the perspective of nature-based solution, the Endane Biodiversity Corridor is a prime example how ecological restoration can link with sustainability of tea estates.
Dilmah ආයතනය සහ කහවත් වැවිලි සමාගම ඇන්දාන වතුයාය එකමුතුව කරගෙන යන බයෝඩයිවර්සිටි කොරිඩෝ එකේ ඇන්දාන වතුයාය කළමනාකාරීත්වය විදිහට අපේ ශ්‍රමදායකත්වය අපි ලබා දෙනවා කොරිඩෝ එක සාර්ථකව ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යාමට. ඒ වගේම වත්තේ ශ්‍රමිකයන්ගේ පරිසරය පිළිබඳ දැනුම සහ යාල ගෙවතු වගාවේ වැඩි දියුණුව මෙම කොරිඩෝ එකත් සමග සම්බන්ධ වී වැඩ කටයුතු කිරීමෙන් ලොකු දැනුමක් වර්ධනය වීමක් අපිට පෙන්වුම් කරනවා.
As the sun sets over this emerging corridor, the signs are unmistakable. Green canopy growing once where there was none, bird song returning, footprints of species long thought lost. For the team, these are more than just outcomes. They are quiet affirmations that say ecological restoration is possible.
It has been 7 years for this project and we have a long way and long-term plan to accomplish. And in the plans ahead, we foresee that the model of Endane could be replicated elsewhere. And recently released Singharaja landscape management plans propose that there are 6 clusters of high ecological value, and these places identified as potential places for establishing biodiversity corridors like Endane. And the knowledge that we have gained could be shared. Other companies, the private sector, the local communities can come forward to work with us for the many years to come.
This corridor is more than a path for wildlife. It's a step towards a more sustainable future. A vision that could guide future restoration across South Asia offering a path for people and nature to thrive together once again.